You know, we have a problem here in Europe at the moment. For the last 20 years or so, we've not been having enough babies. And what that means is that the young people coming into the workforce now, aged 19, 20 years old, what's being called, I think in the US, the Generation Y, what's being called here the Millennium Generation, there aren't enough of them to continue to fuel the kind of profitable growth that we've been privileged enough to experience over the last 20 years. So how on earth can organisations survive when there aren't enough people to run them? I'm going to give you a few hints. First one, fairly obvious, is the fantastic resources we've got available to us now at our fingertips in the form of technology, information technology, computers, robotics. All of those sorts of things can do some of the things that human beings would otherwise be paid to do, and they can do them very well. They can certainly do things well that we do badly, like, for example, remembering, like storing large amounts of complex data, like retrieving things, like being efficient, being reliable. Computers do that very well, and so I think we're all the time trying to capture those kinds of efficiencies. But there's something else that computers can do, and that is they can do as much these days of the decision making with super intelligent computers that we've previously left for human beings to do. And there's one more thing, though, that human beings do really, really well that perhaps computers at this moment won't be able to do well, and that's what we call hyperhuman activity. And hyperhuman activity are those things which we're required to do with humour, spirit, patience, creativity, guile, all of those things which make us human. Computers can't do those things now, but if we free up the few humans that we have got to be able to do those things, then perhaps that will give us some kind of competitive advantage. The second thing that you can do to make sure that you've got as many of the human beings that there are available on this planet as possible is you can fight the talent wars on all fronts. Now, traditionally, European companies may have looked to European talent pools to find the right people to resource their organisations, but when there aren't some, they're going to have to look at non-traditional sources. So they're looking, the smart ones anyway, are looking to call back people from retirement, for example, or hang on to them longer. They're looking to bring back people, women in particular, from maternity or paternity leave. They're looking to compete with distractions that the younger generations find, which may lead them away from traditional organisations. Distractions like, I don't know, surfing in Bondi Beach for 6 months of the year, or running their own organisations. Young people aren't as inclined to join global organisations as they used to be, so you have to be clever in repositioning yourself in the market to attract them. And of course, there's pockets of talent all over the world, and your search now needs to be offshore. It needs to be far further than your own local boundaries. So the first thing is look to non-traditional ways of sourcing your talents worldwide. And the second thing is reposition yourself to be able to attract those very, very different people to those that you've traditionally been seeking. The last thing I'd say to you is think in a different way, perhaps, about how your organisation is structured. I mean, up to now, I think most of us have thought that the organisation was a limited entity with a boundary around it, which distinguished between employees and others outside of the organisation. And that's no longer the case. Organisations these days they're much more fluid and amoebic. And they have what I call permeable boundaries. People come in and out far more frequently. They have different kinds of associations with an organisation. They may be employed temporarily on contracts, or they may be organisations out there with whom you would joint venture for a short period of time. But don't think of your resources as simply being the people you employ. Your resources, what you need is access to the best work of the best people across the world at all times. And that freeing up of your concept of what makes your organisation should help you run an organisation without your traditional fewer and very rare and very precious people.